Hello, school family. Happy Sunday. Hope you're having a great weekend and are ready to gear up for another week of in-person and virtual learning. This week coming, Monday, Tuesday, we are in person, and of course, my virtual friends will be logging in. Thursday, Friday, we are in person, and my virtual friends will be logging in. Wednesday, as we talked about before, this month in particular, teachers are a part of a May Speaker Series where we are doing some asynchronous work ourselves as teachers with some reflection activities to complete, and then also listening to a keynote speaker that Baltimore County is bringing in each week. This Wednesday, that work begins at 8:30. So we will not have class meeting. I was trying to think of a way for us when the professional development is over for us to maybe jump on, but I feel like for families who have students that you might have other plans after class meeting usually ends, it might just be a little bit of a logistical problem. So we are not going to have class meeting this Wednesday, and I will email about that again. Students still should be working if you are a virtual student on that asynchronous work, and parents, if you're looking for different ideas of things to do, you can always practice sight words. Go back and review a lot of those pre-decodable books that we have, especially the ones that are coming home or any work that might be coming home that's paired with them. Students can still do Raz Plus, can still get on First in Math. I was getting ready to name the program from last year. Our math program, First in Math. We can still utilize and do all of those things on that asynchronous Wednesday. But I also understand some families use this as kind of a break day. Our students, I'm sure you're going to notice on Friday, with this being the first real 4-day week, are going to be exhausted. It is much, much different being in the classroom and running that schedule all day long than it is being at home. And my virtual friends that are still on are working so hard, but they've got this in the bag and they've got this schedule down pat. So that's the only change for this week coming, is that Wednesday we will not have class meeting. And I'll email again about that to remind you. Okay? All right, let's jump into our work of the week. For shared reading this week, that big question, that essential question, I love this one, is what can happen when we work together? So we're going to think about what are the good things that can come when we work together. I love always on Monday to hear what our students have to say when I ask that big question. Sometimes they come up with things that I'm not even thinking about. So it's just cool to hear their opinion, or in their mind, how they can answer that question. So it'll be what can happen when we work together. And our first story up for this week is going to be What's the Big Idea, Molly? And with this book, it's a fiction text. We are going to start the week off with predictions. So as we are reading, trying to think about, by using what's on the current page, what might be happening on the next page. Maybe students are thinking so far ahead, they're thinking about what might happen at the end. And parents, this is an awesome strategy that we don't do a ton of practice with, but is something that when you're reading bedtime stories or your students curling up in your lap during the day and they ask you to read, predictions are easy for us to do and talk about. It's not so much something that's a learned skill. We have to think, well, what might happen next? You don't have to be a skilled teacher to be able to share that moment with your students. So definitely utilize that. If you're looking for other kind of strategies that you don't want to be so formal when you're snuggling down at the end of the night and reading a book, predictions are awesome. What do you think is going to happen next? And then talk about, were they right, or did they have to kind of revise their thinking because something different happened? Okay, so that's going to be on Monday. On Tuesday, we're going to do the same story again, and it's going to be our favorite character, setting, and major event. I've noticed that during writing time, if I am separating characters and setting from the event, our students have been much more successful. Sometimes all of that work together, getting them to tell the characters, getting them to do the setting, getting them to show an event, can be a little bit overwhelming, especially in the time that we have together. So last week, I did just event on one day, and we talked about characters and setting a different day when we were writing. And that worked out much better. Parents of in-person learners, you're going to notice those pages coming home. So that should give you a little taste of what we're working on during the week. Those activities that they would be completing on a Jamboard, I've recreated in their papers. So you'll see those things coming home. So take a look at those, see how your student is doing. Some days we are rocking and rolling with them, and other days we might need a little bit more help. Okay, so definitely check that out in their folder. Wednesday, like I said, is asynchronous, so nothing there. On Thursday, we're going to do characters and setting again, but with a fictional text. It's those interactive read aloud cards called The Elves and the Shoemaker. So we will do that on Thursday. And then on Friday, we're going to sneak to the back of the book. So in the back of What's the Big Idea, Molly, there's a book called The Variety Show. And remember, those Friday texts are always really short. We're going to talk about text features. And this is something we have not done a ton with. Text features are those different things that pop up in a book that students might be curious, well, what are the words there? Things like captions, and we see stuff like that in our adult reading all the time. Speech bubbles, headings, all those kinds of things that lend itself to giving us more information about what the author wants us to know. So we're going to focus specifically on the text feature of speech bubbles when we read the story, The Variety Show. Okay? For phonics this week, we are not focusing on any specific letter. We've done the alphabet. We made it all the way through those long vowels, which my friends are doing so excellent with. I'm so happy to see it. And we're going to focus on phoneme deletion. So when I'm looking at a word, if this letter is to be removed, what does the word say now? So really trying to hone in on them, sounding out the words and blending, or figuring out what is that missing letter and what would happen if that letter went away. The word might change, or the meaning of the word might change, and that's going to be all week. Our sight word book this week is called Nat Ran. So if you listen to those words, nat, and we're going back to using those short vowels. We never, ever, ever want to stop practicing what we knew before. That's how we're going to build on our students' fluency. So we're always going to go back and need to grab some of those old skills that we learned. So please make sure you are utilizing those OpenCore pre-decodable books at home, having them sit with you and track the print and read the words to you. I know parents, trust me, that sometimes sitting with them and listening to them sound out each word can be just a little bit painful, but allowing them to kind of progress through that and tackle the words to know what they are, they will feel such pride and ownership in their reading. So really spend some time doing that. And the sight word for this week is then. Okay. And friends, I don't know if you've shared with your moms and dads, we practice sight words like crazy while we're at school, and we've been doing a really good job with them virtually. And we've been choosing to play different instruments with the word. So for example, if this week the word is then, we would pull out our pretend instrument. I'm going to do my guitar, and I'm just going to look at the word, and
Apologies. I couldn't hear what you said.
My watch is talking to me. We're going to say the word over and over again. And this is just a fun way for them to practice instead of just saying, what's this word? What's this word? What's this word? So we pull the word up, it appears on the screen or it appears on my board. We get out our guitar or our drums or our violin and we sing the word. So let's practice. Let's show moms and dads, my friends, how we do this. So if the word was then, I would be looking at the word and I'm going to sing it. Then, what's the word? And my friends would tell me, then. We change instruments. Then, what's the word? Then. It's just another way for us to try to be a little bit silly so that word will stick in my brain. So think about stuff like that you could do while you're practicing these words at home. We're also becoming champs at making sentences using these words. I love to see it. Okay, so that's for phonics this week. And then for math, one of my favorite units that we teach is story problems. And I think I love it so much because it is a fun and interactive way for students to solve adding and subtracting math facts. Rather than just sitting down and looking at the fact and having to tell what it is, we've got to listen to all the details that are in the story problem and figure out what they're asking us to do. So we worked on story problems last week. We did a great job with it. We're working on them again this week. This is also another activity that would be so easy for you to do. You don't need any materials for this for students to be able to do story problems and have fun with it. Make things up. I had 5 chocolates and my mom gave me 2 more. How many chocolates do I have? And then ask your student, how did you figure that out? Maybe they used their fingers. Maybe they're pros at mental math and they just automatically knew what the answer was. But these are so easy to do when you're driving in the car. Maybe they're getting on your nerves a little bit or they're talking too much. Have them make up some story problems. You could do subtraction with these as well. I had 5 chocolates and my mom ate 3 of them. How many chocolates do I have left? And kind of just see their processing with that. If you're noticing your students having trouble with story problems, scale it back and try some easier numbers. I may challenge some of my friends this week to do some larger numbers that might lead us to adding up to teen numbers. Okay, so that's going to be on Monday. And then on Tuesday, it's going to be the checkpoint for that. So like I say to my friends that are virtual, And of course, my friends in person, sometimes the work we do is a little bit like a test. I just want to see what they know and where they are. And that gives me an idea if we need to do more work with something or less work with whatever the skill may be. Okay? Thursday, we're going to move on to a counting activity. We always go back and we have to review and work on counting because it's such an important skill, to a job called Cubes in My Hand. So we're going to talk more about that on Thursday. And then on Friday, the job is called Counting. Counting forward, counting back, starting at a random number and counting forward. These seem like very easy things, but sometimes our friends get a little tricked up if they're not just starting with number 1 and counting on. So we're going to work on some different strategies for counting. Okay, so I think that is everything. I am going to go do some cleaning and some grocery shopping and hopefully get to relax the rest of the evening before we start up our busy week tomorrow. So I hope you have a great day. Enjoy your Sunday, and I will see you tomorrow either in person at 9:10 or virtual at 9:25. Mwah.